The war took my childhood from me, the innocence. When they came for the first time in '96, I was 5. So I had to live 5 years of my childhood under this regime that represents violence, terror, misogyny, and torture and killing.
I grew up in Pakistan. Even though I was not directly impacted by war, there are so many things that war took from me. First of all, my country. My parents decided to go to Pakistan. They didn't know anything about it. It was not this proper planning of, okay, so this is the place we are going, like this is the information we have about the place. It was more like we need to go to a safer place, and then okay, this place was picked, Pakistan was picked. So they moved without taking anything with them, like not even an extra pair of clothes. As a refugee, you will be constantly in the situation of adapting to others. I felt like my presence is not celebrated there. I am tolerated there. And not just me, the whole Afghan community are tolerated there.
Even though the situation in Afghanistan was not good, studying and going to school were my happy places. I always felt privileged by the fact that I had a place to call school, even if it was like a tent with no chairs in there. So every night I would study. In the morning, I would walk to school. Sometimes there would be an explosion. I always thought, was my dad on his way home when the explosion happened? And this thought kept repeating itself. I would think about how many people died in this explosion. I kept thinking about it until I got home, and I would open my books again and study.
The first time that Taliban took over Afghanistan, my family internally got displaced, so that the cities were like full of war and firing and like screaming, bomb explosions and things. So another safe area for us to move was like to move in a village, which was like far away from the city life, so that we can have like a little peace of mind and safety and security. But that village was very backward, like there was no school for girls to go to. And then after like a year of living in that village, the families who got displaced there, like my family, they were like, we need to have a school or something here so that our daughters could go to school too, and then they don't miss on the opportunity to study. And then they formed the very first class. Throughout the history, our people, including my own family, had shown their resistance for the wrongful policies that Taliban were trying to apply. You know, from my mom, she missed the opportunity to study, and then she made sure that my sister and I get that chance. Her encouragement and saying that I will do everything at house so that you guys could study, that was one sort of resistance that I saw, not only in my mom, but in all women around that era. And after the Taliban's government was collapsed and America came to Afghanistan, a lot has had happened since then. And for instance, we had these schools opening again. You could see majority of women being like at the parliament, being ministers, being ambassadors, going to UN. So I think we had a lot of achievements in 20 years. And now Afghanistan is experiencing another gap. And our next generation has to go through the same process that we did during the past 20 years.
So hard for me to talk about that day. As I woke up, my husband was already like reading the news, and he said, the Taliban took Kabul. And I was shocked. It was so painful. I was also crying, and my husband was talking with his family, and then he received a call from his cousin who served in the army. It was the first time that I saw my husband break like that. Like, it was horrible. He was just screaming and saying that they took our country.
Nobody deserves to go through war. It's not normal. Just because Afghanistan has gone through decades of war, it doesn't mean that they should go. Afghan women need solidarity, and people should advocate for it, amplify Afghan women's voices, and not put a blind eye for the violation that is happening in Afghanistan, especially the violation of Afghan women's rights.
Today, women in Afghanistan are facing many challenges. The very few that had access to education, now they are deprived of it. My hope is that the dreams of Afghan girls and women change from, I wish I could go to school, or I wish I could go to work, to, I wish I could be playing in the Olympics. I wish I could start a business. I wish I could lead the country. So my hope is that our hopes get upgraded. So I want people to know that when I'm talking about Afghan women, it is not them. It's us. I'm talking about us.
When I think about the village from where I started, and I was like in very first female class there, we had a school for girls right before Taliban took over again. And now I assume that that school is like, shut down. So that is heartbreaking, but we all know that that's not how it's gonna end. So we gonna do whatever we can to raise awareness and find a way to open those doors to the girls who are like us and waiting for their schools to open. I want the young girls right now in Afghanistan to just keep going until that better tomorrow comes. And for sure it will come, because it happened to us. And right now, the way that they are showing the resistance and the way that they are protesting and raising their voices, the fearlessness that I see in their eyes, I'm sure that they will never lose hope. And I'm sure that they already have it. And they will do great.
Thinking about my experience and thousands of other kids going through the same experience when they have come back is just, because I know, it's just horrifying. I remember a quote that said, "The present is very fragile and the future unpredictable." So that gives me hope when I think about the situation of Afghanistan and Taliban's presence in there. I really believe that they are not gonna last there forever. Why? Because they lack any sort of capacity to lead a human society in 21st century. They offer nothing except violence, and they are trying to run a country. So that's why they will not last forever. And to the young girls and women in there, I would say that I went through the same experience like thousands of other people my age and in my generation. I got an education. I came to the US. I studied at NYU, one of the best schools of the US. And now I'm here, sharing not only my story, but also trying to support and show support to the young girls and women of my country who do not have a voice now. Or they have a voice, but it's oppressed. So That I want to tell them, that don't lose hope, because the resistance is forming, there is going to be a comeback, and we will be able to write our own destiny. It might take time, but I always say the darkness cannot live forever. Our day will come. I strongly, strongly believe in that.
As my generation learned to speak, we learned the ugly language of war. We learned words like clashing.
Hakima Afzeli.
Samira Saidi.